Hi, I'm Yudi from Indonesia. I'm a student and climate justice activist. I attend COP27 because the voice of the Global South is important. The world leaders have to know what's happening in the Global South as the most affected people and area. I'm a climate activist who fight the colonial trap and challenge the neo-colonial agenda of the financial oppression through illegitimate debts imposed on Global South countries by the IMF, World Bank, Club Paris, and Global North countries. I hope at the COP27 meeting there will be a discussion regarding the cancellation of the Global South debt. The cancellation of the financial debt is a first and immediately effective step towards leaving the most affected countries and allocating their money to the most affected people and area. Loss and damage suffered by the countries most affected by the climate crisis is finally at the center of the discussions. Loss and damage mechanisms are essential to tackle the climate crisis. However, if they are not accompanied by the cancellation of the financial debts of the affected countries, there is a considerable risk that TES and otherwise available funds will be diverted into debt service. I hope that the cancellation of the debts of the South as well as the big polluters' climate debt will be discussed at COP27 and future climate summits. At COP27, we could have done a lot more. COP27 is frustrating to me to see that mitigation measures are lagging behind and passing out fossil fuels is being hindered by some of the biggest emitters and oil producers. We have failed on mitigation. We have to make sure that we increase our ambition to peak emissions by 2025. We have to pass out fossil fuels. The agreement at COP27 only reaffirmed the narrative from the Glasgow Climate Pact regarding the passing down of coal power and the elimination of inefficient fossil fuel subsidies. Even if all the promises made so far are fulfilled, the average temperature rise will still be around 2.7 degrees Celsius. This situation will cause widespread drought, water scarcity, famine, and coastal flooding. The clear follow-up on coal reduction is not started in the text of agreement at COP27. There is no clear commitment to pass out all fossil fuels. The United Nations Secretariat Climate Action Plan 2020 up to 2030 is not viable. The sixth assessment report of IPCC predicts that we will exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius. Therefore, the business as usual scam is no longer citable and not viable to achieve other targets, and the climate financing established in COP26 and the Six Paris Agreement articles can still give hope for carbon goals emissions, but not enough for carbon neutrality. Mobilization financing was not achieved. The money collected was far from the target, and many mitigation and adaptation were hampered. And at COP27, there should be more delegation of activists, indigenous people, and communities most affected by the climate crisis. But at the COP27, there are more environmental destroyers than activists and communities most affected by the climate crisis. And also, at COP27, we are not free to voice our aspirations and our concerns because the UNFCCC rules intimidate us. I consider attending the next COP because how many COPs to arrest climate chaos? The first COP meeting was in 1995. Since then, there have been 25 meetings after nearly 40 years of warnings and 30 years of international climate negotiations. Carbon emissions from burning fossil fuels have increased by over 50% since 1919. They are still rising. In fact, they are rising so much that it's predicted that instead of 1.5 degrees Celsius, we are on a path to 3.2 degrees Celsius increase this century. The world is going to become a thriving, dangerous place if we reach 3.2 degrees Celsius. It's now apparent that even the current 1.5 degrees Celsius of global heating is not a safe level. Meanwhile, promises to help the Global South as they bear the brunt of this have been broken as the Global North continues to enjoy its carbon-affluent lifestyle based on a system of greed and exploitation.